So far, more than 22,600 unaccompanied children have been located. Over 400 sponsors have been arrested. And tragically, 27 minors have been found dead.
320,000 missing children, 27 found dead, and one congresswoman is talking about the Confederacy. Stay with me to the end, because what Representative Langworthy says next will leave you speechless.
They are going after students and permanent residents for their political views. They are going after Americans born and raised in the United States. And time again, Trump has floated taking away citizenship from U.S. citizens based on their ethnicity. I want to remind you where the real crime is. It's in the oligarchs taking $170 billion of our money from health care and food assistance and public programs and taking that and funneling it into a secret police program. It's the authoritarians trying to create a black box, because once it is established, they can put political dissidents inside of it. But their hatred is a story, a myth, and we can choose to reject it. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller want you to believe that this is who we are as a country. And we are here to say that it is not. We are a country that has fought and defeated the Confederacy, that has defeated a history of civil rights violations, of secret police, of fascism.
Mr. Speaker, I think we're now approaching about year 9 of Democrats suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. No matter what is before this House, no matter what the rule before us today actually contains, my colleagues across the aisle find a way to make this about President Trump. Not the substance of the legislation, not the issues before the American people, not the suffering that the last 4 years have brought on them. Not the costs facing families, not the failures of their own record. It's just about Trump to them. And while they're fixated on that, the American people have paid the price. In 2022, while Democrats were consumed by their latest Trump obsession, families were being crushed by the worst inflation spikes in 40 years after trillions upon trillions in Democratic spending overheated the economy. Groceries, gas, rent, they all skyrocketed. You didn't hear a peep on the other side of the aisle. Democrats didn't fix it. They didn't even acknowledge it, and then they doubled down on it and made it worse. In 2024, with a border wide open and millions of illegal aliens pouring into our communities across the country, Democrats once again ignored the top concerns of American families. Instead of securing the border or addressing affordability, they doubled down on the same tired narrative, claiming that President Trump was a threat to democracy. And you hear more of it today. And the voters rejected it. One of my Democratic colleagues who supported the last administration for 4 long years of open borders would rather continue to ignore. As the first Trump administration recognized, the unaccompanied alien children program has been exploited by criminals, including gang members, who come to this country as wolves in sheep's clothing. These individuals use the UAC system not for protection, but to recruit and traffic new members and to wreak havoc on American communities. Under the Biden administration, open border, no consequences policies my Democratic colleagues wholeheartedly supported, that exploitation exploded. During the Biden years, approximately 465,000 unaccompanied alien children were released to unvetted sponsors. The program lacked basic safeguards to prevent illegal aliens from serving as sponsors. According to Health and Human Services, roughly 85% of UAC sponsors lack lawful immigration status. Thanks to the Biden administration's own policies supported by Democrats for 4 years, countless smugglers, cartels, and bad actors profited from nothing less than the exploitation of children and human trafficking. Instead of tightening safeguards as encounters surged, Democrats chose to roll back background checks and sponsor reviews, moving children out of law enforcement custody faster, regardless of risk. The consequences to innocent children harmed from years of this horrific policy choice, have yet to fully be reckoned with and will certainly haunt generations of innocent victims for years to come. What we do know is that in May of 2024, the Biden administration had lost track of more than 320,000 unaccompanied alien children, placing them at heightened risk of sex trafficking, forced labor, and abuse. Mr. Speaker, this is not compassion. This is pure negligence. Picking up the pieces from the wreckage of the Biden-Harris immigration policies, the Trump administration has committed to locating these children and to saving lives, something that eluded Democrats for 4 long years. So far, more than 22,600 unaccompanied children have been located. Over 400 sponsors have been arrested, and tragically, 27 minors have been found dead. Victims of murder, victims of suicide, victims of drug overdose. Those are not statistics. Those are lives that are forever lost.
There is a moment in every political debate where one side is speaking from data, and the other is speaking from a completely different universe. What you are about to see on the House floor is exactly that moment, and it deserves a serious breakdown. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took to the floor with a speech that touched on citizenship, secret police, fascism, and the Confederacy. Representative Nick Langworthy of New York followed her, and what he brought to that floor was not a counter-narrative. It was a counter-record. Let us start with what AOC actually said. She claimed that this administration is going after Americans based on ethnicity, building what she called a black box for political dissidents. And she invoked the Confederacy as a historical reference point for where she believes the country is headed. Those are serious charges. If they were backed by verifiable evidence, they would demand serious attention. But when you pair that kind of language with a voting record and a policy legacy, the picture gets complicated very fast. Langworthy did not take the emotional bait. He went straight to the ledger. He pointed out that while Democrats were locked onto their political obsessions in 2022, American families were absorbing the worst inflation in 4 decades. Groceries, gas, rent. Not one press conference, not one floor speech about the family in Ohio who had to choose between filling their tank and buying school supplies. The silence was deafening, and the voters heard it in 2024. Then there is the border, and this is where the conversation shifts from uncomfortable to genuinely painful. Between 2021 and 2024, approximately 465,000 unaccompanied children were released to sponsors, roughly 85% of whom lacked lawful immigration status. These are not disputed figures. These come from the Department of Health and Human Services, and by May of 2024, the Biden administration had lost track of more than 320,000 of those children. Lost track. That phrase alone should have stopped every news cycle in the country cold. Langworthy made the point that those are not statistics. Those are children. Some were found in situations of forced labor. Some in sex trafficking networks, and 27 were found dead, murdered, overdosed, or lost to suicide. That is the record. That is what happened under a policy framework that AOC and her colleagues supported, praised, and defended for 4 years. Now the Trump administration says it has located more than 22,600 of those missing children and arrested over 400 sponsors. That should be the headline. That should be the story that every American, regardless of where they sit politically, demands accountability on. But instead, the floor speech of the day was about fascism and the Confederacy. That is not a critique of passion. Passion in politics is healthy. It is a critique of proportion. When the facts on the ground include missing children, a collapsed border infrastructure, and a generation of families still recovering from inflation. And your response is a historical metaphor with no supporting documentation. That is a credibility problem. Langworthy put it plainly. Republicans are talking policy, and on this particular day, on this particular issue, he is right. The unaccompanied alien children program was exploited. Cartels used it. Traffickers used it. Background checks were rolled back. Sponsor vetting was loosened. Children were moved through the system faster with less oversight. That is not an accusation. That is documented federal policy history. What makes this moment worth paying attention to is not the political theater of it. It is the underlying question it raises for every American watching. What do we actually owe each other in terms of honest accounting? If you support a policy, and that policy produces catastrophic results for the most vulnerable people in the world, children with no advocate and no safety net, then what is the responsible political response? Is it to pivot to larger historical grievances? Or is it to stand at that podium and say, we got this wrong, and here is what we would do differently? That moment of accountability has not arrived yet from that side of the aisle. And until it does, the gap between what is being said on the floor and what is happening in the real world is going to keep widening. The American people are not asking for perfect politicians. They are asking for honest ones, and honesty right now looks like acknowledging a record instead of running from it. If that kind of direct, fact-based conversation is something you want more of, hit like and subscribe right now, because we are bringing this every single time a moment like this demands it.